What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about Skull and Bones yet again. We've made a couple of videos on Skull and Bones on this channel. You guys seem to really like it, which I say in every single video. But make sure, if you do like me talking about Skull and Bones, that you leave a like, you share this, you support these kind of videos, and I will 100% continue to make them. This video is more of just an open-ended discussion about well, you can read the title yourself, right? But I want to basically talk about how Skull and Bones is a game we absolutely need, but my fear about this game, and I've said this in different videos as well, is that it's going to be left behind. Now, I've kind of said something like that before, but just kind of like a throw-in videos, and I want to talk about it here because Skull and Bones is in an interesting spot, and I can see even from the people that leave comments on these videos and in general, it's an interesting game because it's got support. It had people back when it first was announced. So we keep telling the same story, right? It was announced, and I think there was a lot of people that truly liked it. The problem, the disconnect came when it wasn't necessarily what people thought it was, right? They still, including myself, we still like a lot, I think. I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I think a lot of people still like what we saw in the original couple times. The first trailer, especially, towards the end, and they showed like mythological elements, like the Kraken seemed to be in it, right? Like that, absolutely amazing. But we liked that. We liked the gameplay, right? It was basically Assassin's Creed Black Flag ship stuff. So we all liked that, but then there was the whole, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that, it's not exactly what you're thinking like that. A lot of people got upset. Skull and Bones went dark. Okay, so we know the story. We've told it 4 times just on this channel alone. Now, the problem is basically what I've said in these past few, right? Does Ubisoft hate it? What's going on internally? And my biggest fear with this game is it kind of gets left for dead in a way. And I don't want to say that D word too many times because of YouTube, but left behind. I don't want it to be left behind. And Ubisoft, I give them a lot of credit. I think they've made a lot of bad decisions in their time, especially early in this console generation. They made a lot of bad decisions, and they've made a lot of good decisions. I think overall, their quality of products are pretty darn good, especially considering all of the publishers we have. I don't think they're elite, but I think they're reasonable, and you know mostly what to expect from them, from a lot of their titles, right? Now, that could also be a weakness, right? That the Division and Ghost Recon are kind of too close to each other, and they're both not even all that good, right? You know that going into it, but you know what to expect. And so when it comes to Skull and Bones, it's been gone for so long, and every day, really, that it doesn't reappear. And I'm not expecting, by the way, I'm not starting a petition that I want this game to be shown tomorrow. But you got to recognize that eventually you need to show it, and whenever you show it, it needs to release. Now, we know, based off of their earnings report and their fiscal report, of, when the game could release. And I believe it's, March of 2020 to, April or March of 2021. So we're about to enter the sphere where the game can release. However, those can be pushed back. And in fact, honestly, it happens all the time where games, you find out in their next report, their next quarterly report, that it's been pushed to the following one, right? So just because they said a few months ago that it could come out within, 2020 to 2021, basically, right? If you really simplify it, it's most of 2020 or the first half of 2021, roughly, is where they've said recently that the game could come out in, right? So, we have that, that's fine. But again, in a couple months from now, in March, we could find out, oh, it's been pushed again. And that's the general problem with it. And that's what I talked about in the last video and 2 videos ago. The biggest problem to me with Ubisoft, with this game, is there's other games. There's Watch Dogs. There's a new Assassin's Creed. And I'm sure there's many. There could be a Splinter Cell game that comes out, right? There could be a new Prince of Persia game, right? They have a lot of stuff there. Ubisoft is a really, really big company. And I just feel like when Skull and Bones was supposed to come out was literally the perfect timing, right? It was supposed to come out around this past, or last spring. And I think that would have been the perfect opportunity, or even last fall. Last fall, all we got was Ghost Recon, and that did not Breakpoint. And Ubisoft literally didn't care about that game. They didn't promote it, and why? I mean, it was a pretty big mess, but it was really strange because they didn't do anything with that game. They definitely showed that they had no confidence in that game, and it also showed because the game didn't sell well, the game didn't review well, the game was just overall pretty darn bad. I think honestly, that's kind of because they expected that Skull and Bones could maybe help it out. Skull and Bones is definitely a different game. It's kind of like the newer age For Honor, like this just different out of left field game that you didn't really expect Ubisoft was going to do, but it comes out and it's very solid, and it's up to the levels of a lot of the other games, maybe even better. Maybe it depends on who you are, right? It could be better, it could be worse, but it's really solid and it's very different. Again, I mean, yeah, it's got elements of a Ubisoft, it's from Ubisoft, right? But it's still different enough. And I think Skull and Bones and For Honor are two of those games in that same kind of area. And Skull and Bones would have worked really, really well. But here we are now, okay? Here we are now. The game, from what I can read into it, I'm not an insider, I'm not a leaker, I don't know anything, but, I mean, I think I know stuff, but I don't mean it in that way. But from what I can read into it, it seems like this is a next-gen game now. It feels like because it's been pushed so far, I feel like now it's coming back for next-gen. Even Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs has now done the exact same thing. Watch Dogs Legion was supposed to come out last fall. It was pushed to this upcoming March, and then it was delayed now to the fall of 2020. Now, whether or not that gets delayed or not, that's another problem. Watch Dogs has definitely its own problems, right? But there's another example. Like, that game clearly is cross-platform now, right? If it comes out next fall, if it comes out this fall, I keep forgetting we're in 2020. If it comes out this fall, I would expect that it comes out for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, all that stuff. Now, how that affects Assassin's Creed Ragnarok and all that stuff, I don't know. I feel like we're going to see Assassin's Creed at this year's E3, and they'll say it's coming fall of 2021. That'll be next fall's big Ubisoft game. But there you have it right there. It's like, okay, so where does Skull and Bones fit in? And my worry about it, like what this video is not that it won't ever come out. I don't think that this is a game. Ubisoft doesn't do that, right? Ubisoft will push their games through. They'll make the game happen, right? And my worry of it, though, is that it kind of comes out the same way as Breakpoint came out, where it just kind of gets like, oh, hey, it is real. And people are like, but what happened to this? Like, did you change? What'd you change? And they're like, yeah. It's coming out, though, right? Like, don't ask questions. It's coming out. And then the game comes out, and it's like, oh, this is a subpar game that's not anywhere near what we thought. Like, here's my honest thing. I don't think it's going to be that. I definitely don't want it to be that. But I think it's possible that could happen. I don't think it's insanely likely. I think it's more likely that eventually it's just going to be shown, and it is going to be so vastly different. The biggest tell of it is going to be when it's re-shown. When it's re-shown, it needs to be popular enough. People are going to need to watch it and be interested in the property. Otherwise, truly, it will get the Breakpoint treatment. But if it comes back and it's big and it's like, oh, wow, they actually listened, right? It's a very different kind of game now. It's got some of the elements that we really liked about it to start, but now they've added so much to it. Okay, we're all back on the wagon, and we'll support it when it comes out. But if it doesn't do that, if it lets people down again, it's very much in a situation where it's like, okay, you don't have the gamers backing to it. People aren't really all that excited. People are more mad at you than excited because they like some of it, and then you went and you disappeared for a couple of years, and you came back, and it doesn't really feel like much has changed. And we have Watch Dogs, and we also have Assassin's Creed, and people are excited for that. I mean, again, we have maybe they have Splinter Cell, and they have a brand new game that nobody knows about, right? They have all of these games, Beyond Good and Evil. They have all of these kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden, you have to fit in Skull and Bones to that group, and it's like, well, where does it fit? Do people care? Like, you can only have, and I've said this, you can only have your games come out so close to each other. Like, every publisher, every studio has that problem, but for, like, Ubisoft, you don't want you don't want too many of your games to come out the same year. If you even have Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed, which for the longest time was one of my worries, you don't want those games too close together. I think Ubisoft functions, because their games are so close. Honestly, the way Breakpoint and Division 2, they actually worked rather well. Now, because both of them were pretty serious letdowns, it's not necessarily the best example, but they did pretty much what I expected. They had one game come out. I don't even remember when the Division came out, like March. So they had that come out in March, and they had Breakpoint come out in October. So literally 2 halves of the year. They gave each game plenty of time in between each other, which is and they're both very similar games. So I think that's the strategy. I think if you have Watch Dogs come out this fall, Assassin's Creed at minimum can't come out till like March or April. And then, and like I said, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to come out a full year later. But then you can't have Skull and Bones come out like September of 2021 and then Assassin's Creed come out late October. Like, that's too close. And although, yeah, they are different games, they're very different games, they're still by Ubisoft. And because it's just got that Ubisoft feel, I feel like they definitely will hurt because of that. So I just don't, it's a worry. It's definitely a worry for me. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen, but I do see, like I just painted out for you guys in this video, there is a situation, there is a scenario where it does get left behind, where Ubisoft is like, well, we're going to still, again, I'm not saying it's never going to come out, they're going to cancel it, but it'll come out, it'll not come out in the best condition, it's just not going to live up to our expectations, it's not going to be what we wanted, and it kind of just comes out and we all move on from it. And that, in my opinion, is like the worst case scenario because, again, that would just, I think, disappoint me, myself, and so many others. So, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? What do you think the strategy is with Skull and Bones? When do you think we'll see this game again? All of that kind of stuff. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And like I said in the beginning of this video, I want to cover Skull and Bones more. You guys seem to really like these videos. So, again, make sure you are liking them. Make sure you are supporting these videos. So I know, again, make sure you do have that bell icon rung because I do want to make Skull and Bones videos every couple weeks, but we do a lot of different videos as well. So this way, you know, with the bell icon rung, you guys know when each specific video comes out. Okay, so thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.